Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
In Guyana, basically, just about 10 days ago, we identified that we have one case of the virus, and then subsequently that raised to 5. And the person who was identified firstly died. She's the lady that came from New York. And the people who are identified with her are all her relatives. So far, there is no reported case of any increase in that. At the country level, we stop people coming into Guyana except special people and maybe cargo planes or what have you. So both of the airports that we have are closed. Our borders are closed, and they do intense screening. If people are identified with the virus, they have a number of places where they screen them. The government will screen them. Where you take quarantine them then. They have a hotline. They have hotlines that you call, and they will come and take you to. Yes, they will come and take you to.
No, I didn't. Oh.
Somebody is crossing here.
Yeah, I think Sister Sharifa and they're trying to get their microphone to work. So you continue.
Yes. Yes. So what they do, they have a few places that they quarantine people. They have hotlines. So if anybody has any of the symptoms, they just call the hotline and they come and pick you up. You don't go to them. You don't travel, and they will take care of them and do tests and what have you. We have one central lab that can do the tests for different diseases, which is situated in the city. And so all that is there. At our main hospital, we have 14 beds that are in Georgetown and 8 respirators as of today. So there are advisory that go around about social distancing and what have you, washing hands and so forth. Also, our schools are closed, and government ministry, only the heads are allowed to be there every year, but in the staff, they have to do roster. So people will rotate. You don't have full complement of staff. A lot of places like financial service agencies and so on, they send their staff to work from home. And so everything there, those are some of the precautions that we are taking. In the Muslim community, we sent out advisory on Muslims how they should carry out themselves based on Islamic principles in respect to the masjid. An advisory went out a few days ago. We do not call off Jummah per se centrally, but we tell people, mosque administration, and individual to make those choices based on their own situation. Because we don't have large Jummah in the countryside, maybe 40 people, 30 people, 25 people in some cases. But people some of the masjid take decisions that they don't take call of Jummah, but there's not a national consensus on that or a national call. We are reviewing the case and we are monitoring the situation, so then Muslim community here will make a final decision if we totally close the mosque or not. I don't know if you have any questions you can ask.
You hear me? Okay, great. Okay. Thank you very much, Brother Rizan. Apologies for the technical glitch there. Asim and I are here, so he would be probably joining to assist with the presentation if there is need to. So Breeze's presentation, I think, presented a very good context for the discussion, very instructive, and I think well integrated in terms of what the current issue is globally and some of the precautions we need to take as people and as Muslims. Trinidad and Tobago recorded its 50th, that's 50, 50th case today. Of course, 40 of those came from the cruise ship that was off Guadeloupe earlier this week, 40 confirmed cases. There was a news report this evening about allegations of the first COVID death, but that was not confirmed. So that's still controversial at this time. The government has been using moral suasion to provide for the social distancing and the other social measures to prevent the spread so that we could have that flattened curve that Reza spoke about. So without precautions, you would have had a huge peak. But with the social measures, particularly social distancing, the telecommuting, and so on that have been put in place, the rate of infection is being controlled. Moral suasion would not work with everyone. So it started with moral suasion, but then ordinances have come into effect. So all bars, restaurants that are serving seated meals, it's illegal now to open those. And today, the moral suasion did not work with some masjids as well as some churches where people were still congregating in hundreds, and the ordinance came into effect today, which only provides for up to 10 persons to congregate for any religious activity. So that would have come into effect today. In addition to that, movie theaters, clubs, and so on, it's the same restriction for those. Tonight, as with effect from midnight tonight, all our borders are closed. No flights will be allowed in, no flights exiting. So that is indefinite. There isn't a period of time that has been given as to when the borders will be reopened. Of course, cargo is allowed, but the crews are not allowed to come in. So we do have, so to ensure that there is enough supplies for persons. Schools have been closed until April 20th. At this time, the SEA exam has been postponed to sometime mid-May, but that has to be revisited. UWI St. Augustine has postponed its final exams. There's online teaching that is going on and is going to be started in earnest from tomorrow for the primary school, particularly those doing the SEA exam. So it's a whole different scenario that's in place. I think from this, from the presentation as well, Reza spoke about going back, to business as normal, or what would the new normal look like. And as Muslims, I think we need to look at what this new normal would look like in terms of not letting a crisis go to waste, but looking at the opportunities for online learning, online communicating, using technology, trying to really adopt the practices that we know that Muslims, have in terms of hygiene and so forth. So I think it's important for us to reflect on those. I'm encouraged to see a number of online courses. I think even on our network, there is Arabic for Kids that's going to start and so forth. So I think we need to really look at some of the positives because it could be pretty depressing. One of the things that we need to look at as a community is the psychosocial impact. We spoke about that briefly during the last webinar, and perhaps the package material that we can share online, share on social media, share on cable TV, to be able to assist parents who now have their kids at home as well, and some of them are working from home. So it can be a pretty stressful time for the household. Some people are isolating because they may have traveled or they may be at risk. So that poses some more pressure. There may be differences in the way that women, mothers experience this or have to cope compared to men. So that I think needs to be taken into account. I was joking and saying men may just put on the TV and watch some movies, whilst women are dealing with a lot of the other issues, chores, etc. Hopefully not, in our community. So I think we need to look at that, but the psychosocial impact, the negative news, the volume of news, negative news, the kind of existentialist crises that our young people are experiencing and facing, those have to be managed as well. So I'll pause here for the time being.
All right, so inshallah, just to be quite brief. So in terms of the statistics, I know Dr. Riza presented the statistics in terms of confirmed cases, but just to be brief in terms of what we are doing locally or specifically as a Muslim community, we have an advantage wherein we have members within our community who are well integrated. Particularly, we have a sister who is actually working with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So alhamdulillah, what we did initially is that we formed what we would call a shura, a COVID-19 shura, specifically relating to these issues, to assist with expediting any decisions that are required. So we are pretty much close with what is happening legally. So currently there are limitations, for example, on gatherings 20 or more. So what we do is ensure that we have regulations and guidelines for Muslims. So we do send out bulletins, regulations and guidelines for the communities. So far, most of the communities are pretty much what we would say abiding by these. One of the, I don't know if we should say an advantage, one of the advantages, I would use the word advantage, is that several of the communities are quite small. So several communities are sometimes single-digit individuals, and a few of them are actually under 20. But the major places are between Spanish Town, Portmore, and Kingston, and business as usual has actually ceased. So these masajid have actually reduced in terms of suspended. Two have suspended Jum'ah, one have imposed the limit that the government has actually placed. So typically, alhamdulillah, what we are doing is trying to, we ensure that we continuously communicate with the members of the Jama, continuously follow up with what's happening within the society and regulations, and ensure that we are pretty much in line, but of course adopting Islamic principles. So I think I'll pretty much conclude. If there are questions later on, then we can entertain that, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Just to give a quick update in terms of the response of the Jamaican government. We've had 19 cases so far with 1 death, mainly imported, but we're now seeing community spread. And for the 2 communities that we're experiencing spread, we've totally quarantined those areas and have been working very closely with the police and soldiers to ensure that there is strict quarantine measures are adhered to. We've also closed our schools and other non-essential services, and have asked both public and private sectors to scale down to their bare minimum, especially for those companies that are in the manufacturing sector. We've also asked persons to limit their social gathering to no more than 20, and that also applies to religious groups. Alhamdulillah, private sector has been working with the government, and we've just gotten 40 more ventilators to assist in our response, and we've activated a lot of quarantine and isolation centers at our hospitals. We've also sent home patients who are stable enough so that we have more beds when the need arises in terms of isolation and quarantine. We've also established our emergency operations center, and this is where I'm a part of that response, where basically we have our 24-hour lines that persons can call in access information, reports, suspected cases, and a lot of the cases that we've picked up is actually through that line. So alhamdulillah, that's going quite well. And I think one thing that is really working for us in Jamaica is the position that the government has taken to keep the population informed in terms of, as soon as we get positive cases, we educate the public. We're always emphasizing the precautionary measures to take and a kind of an inclusive approach. So alhamdulillah, I think we've been very proactive. We've just gotten a delegate of doctors and nurses from Cuba that are on the island now to assist. I think it's 20, in the 20s, high 20s. So alhamdulillah, I think as a country, we're really trying our best. And I think even through this network, the Caribbean Muslim Network, we should see how best we can assist with each other in terms of our own country's response. I know some countries might have more resources, more capacity in terms of whether knowledge or experience. And I think through this medium, it can be a way of assisting each other as best as possible.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum.
Right, this is Abdullah from St. Lucia, a very small island. So far, we have 2 confirmed cases. That has been so for the past 2 weeks or so. The government has taken many measures since then, including the closure of schools and all non-essential services. School is closed until the 13th of April, so that will be reviewed as well. And the airports are closed to all inbound flights from Europe, including the UK. The only flights allowed now are those from the US, and all incoming passengers are to go for a 14-day quarantine before they let out. As far as the Muslim community, one masjid is closed for all the Salat and Jummah, and one is keeping just the Jummah Salat. The government has limited the gatherings to a maximum of 10. So this other musalla, it's within that limit. You get sometimes 10 to 15 people there. So that continues. But so far, the government is very, very active in terms of their social distancing campaign. Most of the bars, restaurants, and the striking thing for St. Lucia is that all of the hotels will be closed within the next 10 days. So this is a very sad situation economically for workers, as the majority of the economy is based on tourism. So some hotels are already closed, but the majority, that's maybe about a good 25 large hotels, will be closed before the end of March. The most recent situation was that of 90 St. Lucians living in Martinique, which the government arranged to get them back into St. Lucia via ferry. So all of these 90 persons are being quarantined at one of the hotels. And so far, the test hasn't revealed any positive cases. So we're very hopeful that it remains to 2. But alhamdulillah, we're very close as a Muslim community in St. Lucia, and a lot of information, vital information is being shared as far as the do's and what's recommended, etc. So we're hoping that it continues that way for St. Lucia, inshallah. Jazakallah.
So in French Guyana, we are in one part of French community. So we have to do all the decision the government in France take. Since 1 week, we are in contentment. Nobody can go to work. The school and the university are closed, and because 10 days ago we have 5 cases coming from France. The 5 cases was one religious community, evangelic, who went to one meeting in Strasbourg in France. and they come back with the case, with the coronavirus, the 5 cases, and directly the government take a decision, prevention decision, and to control the contact of this person. And we have now, today we have 20 cases. We have 0 deaths. In France, in the France, we have 6,000 cases and 500 deaths. But in French Guiana, we don't have deaths. We have 20 cases. Today, we have the 20th. But all the case is the imported case. Is the case coming from France. Just 2 was contaminated by the coming from Guyana. The 18 coming from France. Donc we think that it's now it's in control. I let my brother Abdurrahman, he's our imam and our secretary of our association, to give the organization of our masjid in Guyana. Assalamu alaikum. I let Abdurrahman, if he can take the mic and talk about the organization of the Muslim of French Guiana. Abdurrahman?
Yeah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, thank you so much, and I am very happy, and I appreciate a lot the presentation that the brother showed out here. So to try to be very quick, once we heard that 5 people from Mulhouse in the east of France came in French Guiana, and the government decided not straight away to close all the schools. But in our masjid, we had discussion before the big decision came. We discussed with the president of the association and other brothers in Cayenne and all the mosque in Mana. So we have 4 masajid here in French Guiana. So we decided to talk together to see what decisions to take, because we knew that after having talks with doctors, that it can spread very quickly. So the first decision that we make is to try to tell everyone that we are not straight away closing the masjid, but we will try to take some measures of hygienic measures, like everyone can have his mat for prayers, and then people have to take care and to wash their hands, and everyone was asked to take wudu at home before coming to the masjid. But the next day, when the government decided to forbid the gathering of 100 people, more than 100 people, so we said, even we are not 100 in our masjid, but we have to be careful and to see, because things can go very quickly. And so we decided to keep still praying, because the government sent a message, said from the next Jumu'ah, it was the March the 20th, there will be no Jumu'ah in France. But in French Guiana, we are not many. We are about 25 or 30%. So we decided we are not 100, so we can pray. But when decisions come from Islamic authorities in France, that we can be careful, and so the advice was to try to avoid praying together. And we have seen also what the measures that had been taken in Makkah, in every places. So we decided to, before the government decided to close all the masajid and churches, all this stuff, we decided and to close. So we had discussion, and the president said it's better for us to close, and everyone should pray at home. And when we decide that, some days after, the government in France decided that people have to be like, not straight away a curfew, but it is almost like that. You only go out when you have a reason, like buying some food or for medicine. Otherwise, everyone was asked to stay at home. So right now, as the President Mas has explained it, everyone from tomorrow, some decisions have been taken to still keep people more closer to their homes, so that people were allowed to go outside for sport, for example, and all this stuff. Now you can't go out for sport. They will ask people to stay at home. When you have an emergency, that you can go out, but otherwise, all the brothers, the Muslim brothers, try to discipline themselves, because our religion is all about discipline, and we try to do our best to improve ourselves. So the decision that has been taken, all Muslims are asked to follow that and to be very disciplined, and we all try to find the solution together and to follow the specialists, what they say. It is our religion. So I'm sorry if I have been a little bit long, but I'm very happy to be among you and very happy with the presentation that the brothers made and all the advices. Thank you very much. Barakallah fikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
As you know that we are here in Dominican, there might be, like, for your information, we might be like 3,000 Muslims over here in the whole country. So as the brother was saying, and his presentation, it was 112, but that was till yesterday. Today, the new bulletin is, the new cases, confirmed cases are 202. And that 56 are isolated in the hospital, and 143 they are isolated in their homes. So 59% are the men and 41% are the females. Over here, everything is, I mean, like, it's a lockdown here, like, for example, complete lockdown from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. And in the morning, only you can go to the supermarket and pharmacy, but there is some rumor that they might start a 24-hour lockdown. So anyway, the Muslim over here, up till now, I haven't received any kind of news about the Muslims brother. There was just one case that the brother called me because he has some his neighbor died because of the coronavirus, but he's not presenting any symptoms. And there is another brother that I'm just waiting for his call. He was telling me that he was feeling like fevers. So let's see, inshallah, hopefully it's not going to be corona. It might be some flu or something, but let's see. And there is no Jummah, according to my knowledge, and we've been in contact with other brothers. All the Jummah prayers are suspended. We do have the 5 prayers, but there's only 1 or 2 brothers. So it's it's empty. The masjid is empty. I don't know if there's something else you want to know.
Antonio is from the Dominican Republic, Santiago, the second city of the country. Yes, of the country. The doctor can give the specific details about the amount of the person that are infected here in the country. In connection with the city, I can tell you that the public hospital is sending a container with 3 beds for the people infected. Right now, the people that have suspicions about infection, they are sending home, and then they are just giving following what are they doing. In connection with the public, with the private hospital, the homes, that's the biggest hospital here, is set an entire floor, the 7th floor, with 8 rooms that are full of people infected of coronavirus. 4 people are in intensive care with a very, very bad condition. The masjid right now here in Santiago, Centro Islamic of Santiago, is closed. We are not praying any salat. We didn't perform Jummah pray for this Friday. The next one, and depending of the authority, if we open or not, because this virus is very, It's very infected. The virus is very aggressive. And then we prefer, to keep the brother praying at home. Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa
According
alaikum
to
assalam.
Bermuda, alhamdulillah, for the earliest part of this month, we had only 2 cases, both imported. One was visited New York and one was came from England. They were confined to their homes. Since last week, the government is following all the advices that we have from around the world, what everybody has mentioned so far. We are all doing the same thing here. Alhamdulillah, so that has kept the numbers down until today. We had 4 more tests come back positive from people who have returned. 3 of them who returned to the island. Especially last week, everyone who came back in had to go under voluntary quarantine. We have 2,100 people under quarantine, or supposed to be. The problem we are going to face is that some of them are breaking their quarantine and coming out because we don't have enough security personnel to monitor all of them. And that will be a problem for all of us throughout the world as things progress, because human nature being what it is, we don't like to abide by rules and regulations. So we are now up to 6, and we hope, inshallah, it does not increase. But all the other things that are taking effect, closing of schools, stop congregating, only the essential services are working at the moment. So we'll hope that it remains this way. I know the masjid in Hamilton was closed last week for Jummah. I'm not sure. I think Salim is online. He could see whether they have opened. We had Jummah last week. We had only 11 of us. The regulation by government was 50 maximum, and as of today, it is 10 maximum. So it's very likely we too will postpone our Jummah or curtail our Jummah to try and keep everybody safe, inshallah. May Allah protect us all from this and make us safe, because let us abide by the regulations that are there and make it safe for everyone, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yeah, okay. I'm from Dominica. Alhamdulillah, the national epidemiologist of Dominica is a Muslim, Dr. Salahuddin Ahmad, and he has been doing a wonderful job with the government. We invited him 2 Jummahs ago to come and give us a brief about the coronavirus, how we should handle it after Jummah. So he gave us synopsis, what we should do, what we should avoid. So it was very educative. The community benefited much, and up to yesterday, we didn't have any virus on the island, non-virus. Today, there's 1 case reported, and that individual is a Dominican national. He went to UK and came back a week ago, and he tested positive today. Yesterday, last Jummah, we informed the community after Jummah that in case, since there were no case, anytime an update, Jummah will not be obligatory on nobody, because on the basis that a traveler in Islam, Jummah is not obligatory upon them because of possibility of hardship. Based on if hardship is one of the main reason that Jummah is not obligatory on a Muslim, expected hardship of health is even greater than the hardship of a traveler, which may not happen. So on that basis, anytime you have that case on Dominica, we say we suspend Jummah, and community welcome that. So a while ago, we got the information from the Prime Minister that there's a case. And also schools from tomorrow is suspended. He mentioned, have not limited people's movement. He just said the elderly who are 70 and above, the people that are asthmatic, cardiovascular, and underlying cases should stay at home. However, he advised us to stock food, which we did that already before the government have spoken that we inform all the members of the community to have necessary food items that will last them at least maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If possible, as long as possible. We don't know because of the shipping system. We do not produce, most of our food are imported, except the local farm produce. from tonight, we asked the community, we make Maghrib, Isha a while ago, but people should separate from each other, keep distance, social distancing, which we were advised. Unfortunately, also have a death in the community, and so in the next 2 days, inshallah, we're gonna bury the brother in our Muslim cemetery. We're gonna have just minimum number that can be able, only the members of the family of the deceased, immediate members, families of deceased, as well as few brothers that will be able to put the janazah in the grave will be allowed to come, or will do that. So the community is trying all its best to educate and whatever proactive means to minimize any possibility of spreading this virus within the community. And that's what the activities or that are the steps that we took within the community, because before today we never had any case. It's only today we got one. If there's any question, that's what we have in Dominica currently.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Welcome everyone. It's good to see everyone's face, and alhamdulillah, may Allah have mercy on us and compassion in this time of hardships. I just give a brief report on Barbados to indicate that we as we came on air, we were 14, but I just got news that we are now 17 cases. So the numbers are rising a bit in Barbados. We started off with 3 cases last Tuesday and moved pretty rapidly to 17 cases. The Masajid had gotten together and made a couple of decisions about a week or 2 weeks ago. They have not yet suspended the Jummah, but they have curtailed the numbers. But I believe now with the increase in numbers of cases that they will have to look at the curtailment of the Jummah. That probably will be the next step. The government now has asked that be 25 or less, restricted to 25 or less gathering. And I suspect that will change pretty quickly as well. All other activities have been suspended in terms of the schools and other types of gathering. We are facing here in Barbados, similar to other parts of the world, where some Muslims are saying you must keep the masajid open. And that is one of the challenges that we are having among some in the community. But I think the masjid administrators are pretty good on this, and they're making the necessary rules. What we are finding, however, is that smaller groups are now going other places and performing the Salah and Jummah and so on. So that may also be a challenge to the community, where you get groups of people deciding to go off on their own into a house or a place that they have, and they do the Jummah, they do the Salah and so on. So that is something that we have to pay attention to, because they will also be flouting the laws and the rules here in Barbados. I'm happy to hear all of the countries here and what is happening. I think we should stay in contact with each other through the CMN, keep feeding back the information into the database so that we can have an idea of what's happening. Those countries that we have not had here this evening, we will try to reach out to and find out what's happening with them, to try to see where we can help mitigate in any event. One of the things that I want to recommend for the Muslim community, that is along with making sure that our community is taken care of by way of the necessities, that we should also use this as an opportunity to extend our help and our resources to our neighbors and our friends and the rest of the community, because this is the best part of dawah. So whatever we can do by way of helping others in the society, we should do that as well in our country. So we will be also good examples of doing what is right in this situation. May Allah bless us and have mercy on us all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
I'm Mrs. Nyang Khadija. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Walaikum assalam.
Alaikum assalam.
Yeah, I have nothing more to add to the presentation done. In Martinique, we are in confinement, so everything is closed. Concerning the Women Association, we have a lot of job to do, because we have lots of teenagers who are confined home with homework to do. And so we have to help mothers to do homework with their children, mainly in math, English, and French. So we are mostly dedicated to that, to help the children, to help the teenagers go through this situation that they don't understand really, even if we try to explain everything to them. It is a very difficult situation for them because they've been out of school since January because teachers were on strike. So just this, we are coping with that, that's all. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum.
Alhamdulillah, give thanks to the organizers of this webinar. It's very good for us to communicate with each other. Unity is strength. Where concerns my island, St. Eustatius, well, we are a very small island. We have a Muslim community of only about 10 persons. The measures that the government has implemented here are similar as what have already been mentioned of the other countries throughout the region. Our main challenge right now, as we are looking at it, is in terms of the approaching of Ramadan. We do not anticipate any significant reduction of all the measures in place by the time that Ramadan comes around. For our community, over the past years, we have received hufaz from the United Kingdom to conduct our Tarawih and so on. And as we are looking at it right now, that will not be possible. We don't see any change in the travel restrictions, etc., and all of that in the coming period. So otherwise, being that we are of such small numbers, we fall within what the authorities stipulate as a limitation of gathering. That is no problem. So from that standpoint, we continue as normal with our Juma, and if there are any changes, then we will make the changes accordingly. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with all of us throughout the region. May we continue to communicate with each other in this manner, and that we continue to make du'as for all our communities, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide us through this episode that we are confronting. Assalamu alaikum.